Ladies and gentlemen, the chief guest of our third session, Senator Nisar Ahmed Khoro. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sir, worthy chief guest, I formally welcome you on behalf of the President, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, Vice Admiral Ahmed Said, to this symposium, which is of international stature and is organized to undertake the gap analysis for formulation of capacity building program on safe and environmentally sound ship recycling, which is short-termed as Sensrec in Pakistan. This is a research-based project which is being undertaken by the National Institute of Maritime Affairs, and it has been sponsored by the Norwegian government. Sir, a brief recap. The yards at Gadani handled over 400 ships per annum in yesteryears. Presently, only a marginal number of ships are beached at Gadani. Despite its significance, Pakistan's ship recycling industry has witnessed a massive decline in shipbreaking tonnage. The ship recycling industry is a vital contributor to Pakistan's economy, generating tax revenue and supplying raw materials to domestic steel industry smelters and re-rolling mills. So, with this background, the objective of this symposium is to undertake an analysis of existing policies and regulations in Pakistan through consultation with federal and provincial stakeholders, identify gaps in compliance with Hong Kong Convention. Thirdly, enhance policy framework through reformed policies and regulations. Fourthly, utilize stakeholders' input to raise awareness about the industry's challenges and imperatives for improvement. Finally, determine capacity enhancement of a skilled force through capacity building program. Sir, during the previous sessions, we have delineated in detail, and we have the speakers from Balochistan government, from Pakistan Shipbuilders Association, from National Trade Union Federation, from the Labor Union, which have spoken in detail. Even we had a privilege to have with us the United Nations International Labor Organization's representative over here to talk on the subject. So the subject has been discussed in detail, and now we shall be undertaking its final concluding papers, in which we are covering the role of Pakistan Maritime Security Agency in the recycling industry. And second paper would be the role of the Balochistan Development Authority in the shipbuilding or recycling industry. Finally, so we have a distinguished speaker from Sweden who will be online with us, Dr. Professor Raphael, sir. I thank you, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad, kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim, innaka hamidun majid. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. I, on behalf of the government of Balochistan, welcome the Honorable Chief Guest, Senator Nisar Ahmed Khoro Sahab, and all the dignitaries who are here to listen to us, give us patient hearing that what for we are here, wherefore we are gathered here regarding the Gadani shipbreaking yard, and in perspective of HKC that what is the requirement which we are the government of Balochistan, through a different stakeholder, different department, maybe it is Balochistan Development Authority, maybe it is a labor department, maybe it is environment department which is represented over here by the Environmental Protection Agency. So I just wanted to tell you with regard to Balochistan Development Authority, which is the main regulatory authority controlling the shipbreaking industry in Balochistan. One thing I just wanted to mention here, sir, that as far as Balochistan is concerned, through an act, Balochistan has declared this industry as this shipbreaking as an industry. While as far as the federal level is concerned, it is yet to be declared as an industry. So I just wanted to apprise the participant about it. That the question is normally asked that as Pakistan has declared this an industry, yes, Balochistan is one of the federating unit and Balochistan has declared it as an industry, so Pakistan has declared it as an industry. Yes, we are working for it at the national level and it will be declared through an act shortly. Sir, I just say a few words regarding the Balochistan Development Authority. It was established in 1974 because Balochistan was not a province till 1971. It got a status of a province in 1971. Prior to that, it was an AGG province. So, an authority was required because regular departments were yet to be established or newly established. So, those departments were not having a proper capacity building. So, an authority was required to take the responsibility of development of the underdeveloped area in the province. So I don't want to take much of your time because I have a limited time, but that was a necessity to apprise you about the background of the province of Balochistan. Once it was given a status of a province, and then Balochistan Development Authority was created just to have a shortcut for the development of the province, to how to bring it for the underdeveloped area of the province at par with the developed area of the province. So it was established, it is, please argue. Next slide. It was established in 1974 through an act. Balochistan Development Authority has been assigned the responsibility to regulate the shipbreaking industry through a regulation which was promulgated in 1971. We call it Shipbreaking Industry Rules. And till day, we are working on it. Those rules are updated time and again, how to equip it with the changing environments in the shipbreaking industry. Sir, presently in Gadani, we have 314 plots, where only 135 plots are developed, where this business has been carried out. As I already mentioned, so there is no need of repetition that this has been carried out through a shipbreaking industry rule 1979. So I just mentioned about the procedure that once the ship arrived in the beaching area in the Gadani shipbreaking, so what are the procedure? Balochistan Development Authority normally allot plot to the ship recycle to carry out as business first. Then a vessel or ship is imported by the ship recycle. Clearance by Pakistan Custom is the first step to go for the recycling of the ship or a vessel. Then initial environmental examination report, clearance by the Environmental Protection Agencies, as I mentioned. Sharing of the Custom and Environmental Protection Agency clearance certificate with the BDA by the ship recyclers, and then BDA further proceed with a joint visit by BDA, Labor Department, APA, and Administration of Hub to ensure all those things which are there in the document, are those documents are verified one, authenticated one, or otherwise. Assessment of NOCs / clearance granted by the APA, Custom and Labor by Balochistan Development Authority Management. NOC granted by BDA after the clearance to the recycling of the ship at the plant. Now I am coming toward the main subject which is being ratified, the Hong Kong Convention, which is being ratified by the government of Pakistan last year. And this convention is known as HKC 2009. It is been ratified by the government of Pakistan last year, sir, and it is a must that we comply with all the rules and regulation of HKC prior to June 25. If we don't go for compliance of these rules and regulations which are attached with HKC by June 25, we will not be able to get any ship in our area. A BDA, being the sole regulatory body of the ship recycling industry, is actively being engaged in compliance of the Hong Kong Convention in Pakistan. To achieve the milestone, BDA has implemented various steps in this regard and are implementing more. BDA and government of Pakistan implementing and presently practicing the regulations set by the HKC in terms of its regulation. Worker safety and training, which cover Regulation 19 and 22. Emergency preparedness and response Regulation 21. Ship recycling facility Regulation 15 to 18. One window operation general requirement. And now I just come towards the step taken by the BDA or the government of Balochistan with regard to HKC. We have dropped a bill which is submitted to the competent forum, that is the government of Balochistan cabinet, and then after the approval of the cabinet, it will be placed before the provincial assembly for enactment. Because it is a provincial subject and legislation is to be made by the provinces. Environmentally friendly management of hazardous material, which is the most important thing in this regard. Until and unless we go for the safe management of hazardous material, we won't be getting any business in this regard. Ship recycling plan, authorization of ship recycling facility, survey and certification of the ships. Emergency preparedness and response. I am going a little fast because I have a certain time which has been allotted to me, and I don't go beyond that. That's why I am going a little fast. Worker safety and training. The draft bill and act is finalized and will soon be approved from the competent forum, as I mentioned, that is the government of Balochistan. One window operation, I mean establishment of an administrative block where a few meetings already been carried out in that building, where two hall, one is the awareness campaign hall, you may call it training center, awareness center. It is being established, and with the support of ship recycler, it is being equipped, which will be and is ready for training, imparting of training to the worker, technical people, and management of the ship recycler, as well as the government functionaries. As I mentioned, one window operation will facilitate us that we won't be going from one office to the other area to the other, because all the offices of the stakeholder will be established in that particular building. That's why it is called as a one window operation, which is the basic requirement of the facilitation as far as the HKC is concerned. Better coordination and teamwork. Training and awareness center for the worker and labor, as I mentioned, in collaboration with the ship recycles. Land for the establishment of RHC and hospital on the request of the ship recycler in the vicinity of administrative block, land is being allocated for it, where shortly the facility will be established. Our TDSF and waste disposal facility, which is the most important, as I mentioned, in Balochistan government, or BDA is earmarked 27 acre of land in the shipbreaking yard for the purpose. Provision of drinking water from the established 0.2 MGD desalination plant in the shipbreaking industrial area, which is being established by Balochistan Development Authority. A consultant has been hired to further equip, update our draft act and accordingly a regulation, and equipping us in compliance with the HKC regulation is being hired. Construction and development of concrete platform for the dismantling or recycling of the ship at a beach to avoid spill of the oil and other material, which is the foremost requirement of HKC as far as regulation is concerned. And all the monitors, the surveyor, which are normally there to see how HKC is compliant with, they normally visit for such type of thing that this platform is available or otherwise. In order to comply with all the requirement of HKC and to make Gadani shipbreaking yard safe and environmentally sound, the BDA submitted a proposal to the federal government, which also include maximum requirement of the HKC. In addition to that, which has already been established, as I mentioned to colleagues of mine, that Balochistan Development Authority or the government of Balochistan or Pakistan is already working on that, but there is only a few changes, amendment or updation is required. I was mentioning that previously we used to call it shipbreaking, but now as per the HKC is concerned, it is known as a ship recycling. We used to have a work plan, they used to call it an outline plan. So practically we are working on it, but we have not been able to interpret ourselves and to explain it to the people that what the HKC is and what we are doing at the moment. The proposal also includes major infrastructure development required for the compliance of Hong Kong Convention 2009. And I just go for it in a hurried way. That proposal which has been submitted to the federal government consists of health services, including trauma center, one unit, and hospital, administrative block, approach road, safety and firefighting facility, construction of auxiliary buildings, waste reception and disposal facility, development of other plots which are not yet being developed for the and ready for the business, computerized data record keeping, coastal protection of beaching yard from erosion, establishment of re-rolling and recycling industrial zone, phase-wise infrastructure development, water supply of the drinking water. ISO certification declare mandatory for the work, enhanced surveillance and vigilance and supervision of ship recycling industries, improvement of discipline in all yard, including display of board indicating the strength, names of the worker in the shift with the support of ship recycler. Previously, if there would have been a gap, if some incident happened, then the data is required that all those people who were working in that ship, we must know the record of that. So now it is displayed in all the plot, in all the ship recycling plan, and it is displayed over here. Improvement of firefighting capacity and technique. Availability of foam to mitigate the fire incident in the shipyard at every yard. Regulation of working yard from 7 a.m. to 06 p.m. No work is allowed after sunset. Availability of rescue plan includes a monkey bridge at the back of each ship has been developed as an evacuation plan in case of incident. Display of safety manual and chart all across the yard and ship. Regulating the entire affair of the ship recycling industries as already mentioned. Ensuring compliance to the HKC, more steps which are required to be taken has also been mentioned. Development of concrete platform is to avoid spill, as I mentioned that step, just to summarize it, that which has been taken and are being taken. Infrastructure development, development of green yard, the newly drafted law or bill is incorporated, all the policy mandatory for compliance of the ship recycling industry, because we don't have to leave any gap for anyone that this regulation 25-26 regulation of HKC has not been implemented or not complied with. Mega project, as I mentioned, include all of those things which are being mentioned in HKC. Healthcare facility already available, but it is being improved. All UCFs for working health and safety are in place and strictly being monitoring. As I mentioned that we have a giant effort. All the stakeholders jointly visit all the ship recycling plan and any gap, any vacuum found over there, the part of any stakeholder is adhered to with the, as far as the requirement of the HKC is concerned. And hopefully, the time which has been given to us is June 25, but we are trying that we should be able to do it till the end of 24, inshallah. Few things which I just wanted to mention in the conclusion, that the most important is the establishment of waste and hazardous materials treatment facility. Presently, we are utilizing the facility of the Karachi shipbreaking shipfort. Otherwise, if this facility is not available, no business will be allowed in Gadani shipbreaking. All laws are being amended, incorporated, updated as far as the HKC. These are the three main pillars. How can we achieve the HKC compliance report, which are due to be in June 25. But as I mentioned, that we will try to achieve our milestone, our target by the end of this year, inshallah, current year 24. Thank you very much. Any question? I hope I have not taken much more time. The time which has been allocated to me was adhered to.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have our next discussant, Captain Tayyab Wadood Anwar, Tamgha Imtiaz, Military CO, PMSS Karachi from Pakistan Maritime Security Agency. His topic of discussion is role of PMSA in ship recycling, and his discussion points are as flashed. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Senator Nisar Ahmed Khodo Sahab, serving and retired flag officers, distinguished guests, students, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Captain Tayyab Wadood. I am commanding Pakistan Maritime Security Agency ship Karachi. In next few minutes, I will familiarize the House with respect to role of PMSA in ship recycling. Scheme of my presentation is as flashed. Ladies and gentlemen, PMSA is the sole maritime law enforcement agency of Pakistan and covers all maritime domains associated with safety and security. To perform these complex and multifaceted domains, PMSA effectively operates at sea, shore, and air. At shore, PMSA promotes liaison and cooperation with other law enforcement agencies, including Pakistan Customs and Police, to enhance overall maritime security framework. By deploying its assets, PMSA ensures seaward security of ships at port anchorages through continuous surveillance and regular patrols in coordination with port authorities and JMICC. In order to monitor illicit activities such as illegal fishing, smuggling, or unauthorized entry along the coast of Pakistan, PMSA utilizes its assets and coastal bases and Pakistan Navy Coastal Surveillance Network. With respect to sea, PMSA is equipped with adequate resources for timely response to any maritime emergency, including pollution and search and rescue at sea. PMSA is capable of conducting boardings and searches of suspicious vessels to prevent smuggling, human and drug trafficking during maritime interdiction operations. Moreover, through effective sea picketing, policing, and deterrence, PMSA provides safety assurance to seafarers and fishermen operating in our maritime zones by preventing, controlling, and reducing crimes at sea. In air, PMSA utilizes its air wing for effective surveillance and identification of potential threats inside our maritime zones. For that reason, PMSA conducts regular air patrols to counter illegal activities such as illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing, smuggling, and poaching, in coordination with Pakistan Navy air surveillance efforts. Additionally, to deal with maritime emergencies, air wing is also being used to undertake search and rescue operations at sea, along with pollution control and monitoring of maritime zones. Now I shall talk about the brief history of PMSA. The inception of PMSA can be traced back to late 1970s and early 1980s on the national level, when few serious incidents drew nationwide attention to maritime domain. Another reason was the ratification of SOLAS Convention by Pakistan in 1985, which made Pakistan obligatory to respond to search and rescue calls at sea. In this regard, Pakistan Navy took the patronage of PMSA and provided human and material resources since 1st August 1986. Subsequently, on 1st January 1987, Pakistan Maritime Security Agency was formally established, and since then, it has passed 37 years of remarkable history. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure safe and secure maritime environment through maintenance of good order, safety of life at sea, and preservation of nation's marine resources, a parliamentary act was passed in 1994 to provide legal jurisdiction to the agency in order to perform its powers and functions effectively. Since beginning, PMSA is working as an executive department under Ministry of Defense and is manned by a mix of Pakistan Navy and civilian personnel. In this regard, the organogram of the PMSA is as flashed. Being the only law enforcement agency, PMSA is mandated for regulation and protection of Pakistan's maritime interests and to assert and enforce national jurisdiction and sovereignty in maritime zones and internal waters stretched over a total area of 290,000 square kilometers. Various powers and functions being performed by PMSA as per PMSA Act of 1994 are shown on the slide. Apart from working under Ministry of Defense, the assigned tasks of PMSA fall within the mandate of other various ministries as well. Joint activities being performed under diverse ministries highlight PMSA whole of the government approach. In this regard, some of the key functions being performed and coordinated by PMSA for various ministries are as flashed. Now coming over to the authority that authorized the PMSA for beach clearance boardings on board the ships which are destined for ship recycling, it falls under the clause 12 of PMSA Act of 1994. This act authorized the officers and members of the service to make inquiries, examinations, inspections, investigations, searches, seizures, and arrest for the prevention, detection, and suppression of contravention of any law for the time being enforced within the maritime zones, and for the purpose, the officers and members of the staff may board any vessel except ships and crafts of armed forces of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to effectively monitor the process of dismantling and recycling of ships at Gadani, PMSA typically ensures that necessary safety and environmental regulations are followed. This may involve boarding and inspection to verify compliance with international standards for ship recycling, including Basel Convention and guidelines set by the International Maritime Organization. With the enforcement of HKC, we will be following all the HKC regulations and all the obligations which will fall under the authority of PMSA. This may also oversee the proper handling of hazardous materials and waste disposal to minimize environmental impact, collection of gas-free and MARPOL certificates that identifies ships' tanks are clear of any dangerous and harmful materials. Ladies and gentlemen, PMSA actions before ship recycling curtail the risk of pollution, as without oversight, there is a higher risk of pollution from the hazardous materials such as asbestos, heavy metals, and oils being released into the environment, affecting both marine and terrestrial ecosystem. Health risks, as workers and nearby communities could face increased health risk due to the exposure to toxic substances without proper safety measures and regulations in place. Ecosystem damage, as improper disposal of material could harm marine life and habitats, disrupting the local ecosystem. Legal issues, as failure to comply with environmental regulations could result in legal consequences for both the ship's industry and the government. Overall, the absence of oversight from the PMSA could lead to environmental degradation and pose risks to human health and well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, during the discourse today, we have been informed about the various challenges being faced by the ship recycling industry with respect to the capacity building, training, safety standards, and working conditions. It is important to highlight the challenges being faced by PMSA during ship breaking processes. First is the information about ship destined to Gadani for recycling either reaches late or it is not provided till arrival of the ship. Moreover, these vessels often travel with their AIS switched off, so we are unable to track them. This challenge can be overcome by providing information soon after signing of contract. Thereafter, ETA of the vessel can be informed 72 hours prior arrival of the vessel so that necessary safeguards can be taken. Second is the concurrent jurisdiction of many departments. Although many authorities, including Balochistan Development Authority, Balochistan Environmental Protection Agency, FBR, Customs, FIA, Port Health Officer, Flag and Port State Control Authorities, that is Mercantile Marine Department, have concurrent jurisdiction, no single window operation to streamline the NOC process is available. This has been deliberated by the Chairman BDA. We hope that it materializes soon. We believe if there is a digital system, this will streamline the process and it will also expedite the process. Activation of system like Pakistan single window can overcome this challenge. Lastly, Pakistan being signatory to SOLAS Convention is responsible for coordinating search and rescue efforts up to 840 nautical miles from Pakistan coast. It has been repeatedly observed that search and rescue transponders on board these vessels is activated erroneously during dismantling process. This causes worldwide SOS alert. So headquarter PMSA, being the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center, has to investigate the alarm and inform international authorities that it was a false alarm. This challenge may be overcome by careful dismantling of distress signal equipment. Ladies and gentlemen, after highlighting the challenges being faced by the headquarter PMSA, it is recommended that information about ships to be recycled may reach headquarter PMSA soon after signing of contract. Moreover, ETA may be informed 72 hours in advance so that the boarding teams may be nominated and all safeguards should be taken. Crew of the vessel may be instructed to keep AIS on throughout their passage. This will facilitate us in monitoring them while they are in transit. A single window operation for various NOCs related to ship recycle industry may be instituted at an early stage. Lastly, recycling teams may be educated about careful dismantling of search and rescue, transponder, and other distress equipment. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. I thank you all.
And for my team, the idea was to provide to the Bangladesh shipyards in Chittagong with occupational safety and health training. It was part of a larger project which was directed by the IMO and NORAD, the Norwegian agencies for development. So there have been different steps in this project. And it's very important to keep in mind that the steps have a special meaning because each step is leading to the next one. And each step is important in order to ensure that the solution and the training element is adapted to the local situation. For us, one of the elements which was very important was to make sure that the training requirements are not only incorporating the international requirements, but are also able to meet the national realities. So in this respect, what we did first was to collect data about what type of training are currently available in the country, and also trying to assess the training capacity. When I say the training capacity, try to assess where the people can be trained, which kind of personnel can support this kind of training, which facilities are providing sufficient level of equipment, and also level of training, because we need to have something which is consistent. And what we realized, it was pretty easy to find this kind of capacity in Bangladesh, because in Chittagong you had the Bangladesh Maritime Academy, which have very good capacity for training for occupational safety and health. And I think that you have the same kind of capacity in Karachi. So it was very important to identify for us a situation, because if we don't have the situation assessment, it's very difficult to build something. So for us, identifying the situation is first importance. After that, what we worked with the international requirements and what are the different practice from other countries. And one of our reference country at this time was Turkey, because as you are aware of, Turkey is also a big ship recycling nation, not in the scale as Pakistan, but is still a big one in Europe. And it was important for us to bring also what is a practice from a country like Turkey, having the international guidelines, having the principles which are required also by the ILO and trying to bring this together and looking at what is done currently in the country, in Bangladesh, and bringing this together and trying to have a gap analysis to understand where are similarities and where there is gaps. And it's a very important element because from the gap analysis, we can build up. Another important stage, which was done in parallel with another team, it was an assessment of the worker, occupational safety and health and well-being. Because without knowing the workers, it's very difficult to tailor-made a training system. So when I mean assessment of the workers is to try to understand who are the workers, where are they coming from? Are they people which are used to an industrial environment, or are they people which are coming from a remote place? And what we realized in Bangladesh, for example, there were a lot of persons which were coming from farming far away from Chittagong, which was creating complexity for these people because they didn't have this exposure to industrial environment that you find in shipwreck recycling yard. We realized also that it was very important to discuss about the employment condition and employment structure. And one of the elements we realized in Bangladesh was the cascade of subcontractors. And more you have a cascade of subcontractors between the yard owner and the actual work, it's making more complicated to ensure a long-term and sustainable training of persons because you can have a lot of people coming in and out of the business. Another very important element for us when we assess the worker is to see how much they understand the diversity and the types of risks that they are facing when they are in ship-breaking yards. We also tried at this time to understand how frequent are the accidents to persons, big ones, small ones, serious and non-serious accidents, to just evaluate how often this person are exposed to response to accidents. Because it's important also in occupational safety and health training to ensure appropriate response to any form of incident or accident. So make sure that the person who are trained are able to a certain extent to respond or at least to call and to identify which person and which level to call in order to call for support. We also try to identify which categories of workers are the most vulnerable in the ship recycling business. And here in this respect, we identify and we looked at some very specific categories of laborers, which were, for example, child labor. And child labor is not only contriving international regulation, but it's also against national regulation. And that's a very important element to consider, that it should not happen in any case. What was very important for these two steps, which require quite intensive data collection from site, is to have people working with us from the local partners. So we had persons from Maritime Academy and we had persons from the local university to conduct the research and to collect data for us on the workers on one side and on the type of training available on the other side. Another element which was very important is to identify the training needs. When we've done this comparative analysis, we can identify the training needs and adapt it to the local condition of the country. The training needs means not only identify what is missing in the current system, but also where the people can go for having this type of training. So it's very important in order to have this identification of training needs to know what is the current training available and the workers themselves. After that, we did something which is a training method assessment. So we looked at the different training methods which we can find in the world, and we looked at the one which seems to be the most appropriated. Indeed, when you have workers which are very literate or absolutely not reading and writing, you need to adapt the training to this category of personnel because they will not be able to be reading some documents. So you need to be able to provide something which is more relying on pictures and more visual elements. After that, we've been developing a curriculum. So it means we have been creating a big sketch of what should be the different elements to include in an ideal training meeting the local specificities. And in this respect here, we work with the gap analysis and the comparative analysis we did between the national training and the international requirements. And from that, we developed a specific curriculum adapted to the situation. A specificity also of the curriculum that we did it in a very modular way, meaning that it can be adapted to short-term courses, small training that we can call awareness, that can be given to national authorities, to shipbreaker association, or to shipbreaker owners, but also more details for different categories of workers. And when we had very specialized workers, for example, the ones removing asbestos of hazardous material, we had an expanded module for them. So we had a generic module for everyone at different levels, and after we had more specific modules for certain categories of workers. The next step has been development of training itself, the content. And here we mobilized local personnel and also international experts on the topic in order to make sure that it's in line with what is expected at the world scale level. When we had this final training content, updated and validated, we had a train the trainer workshop. So basically the idea of train the trainer workshop is to take time not to train directly the workers, but to train the person who later are going to train the workers. Because you can imagine that for us being international workers, some of us coming from Europe, some coming still from Bangladesh, the language in order for us to distribute the knowledge was in English. And therefore, we can only select some person that gonna be trainers in the future and who have a good and which are conversant, with English language. In this respect, after it was expected that these trainers were translating the material into Bengali language in order to be adapted to the local population. And after there will be the person distributing this training in local language. So I suppose it will be the same thing in Pakistan with Urdu to make sure that we have persons which are conversant with English and Urdu in order to provide this training to the workers themselves. So when we had this pool of trainers identified and qualified, here we started to have trainings per se. And for that, we had to find a location. And for us, we had the BMA, so the Bangladesh Maritime Academy, that provided all the equipment and also the housing capacity, because they have some rooms that can host the persons. And we have been training a lot of workers for that. And it lasts for many months, and more than nearly 900 workers were trained for that. There were another element, which is a complementary element, which is very important, is to make sure that all this training are documented, because we need to know which workers have been trained, when, and on which topics, in order to create a database and after not replicating the training for the same person. So it's very important to maintain a very strict database. And here, this is a responsibility which was after handover to the administration. So now in terms of general requirements, I would say in terms of general requirements, what is very important for developing such training is to have a full engagement from the administrative bodies, the different authorities at national but also local level. And especially in federal states like yours, it's important to have the local level engaged directly in this kind of process. The full engagement also of employers is very important. So Shipbreakers Association should be involved from the beginning and participating actively in this work. The NGOs and unions are also very important to engage in order to have a permanent discussion between the different teams, so meaning the authorities, the shipbreakers, and the workers and us, to make sure that all this works respecting all the different categories of stakeholders. It's very important also to have a long-term commitment. And this is something that was a little bit complicated in the previous work, because after the end of the project, it looks like the long-term commitment was a little bit more complicated to obtain. Allocation is very important. Allocation of funding is very important. Funding first for developing all this process, so the assessment to the development of curriculum, to the development of the material and the training, but also allocating funding for the long term, making sure that what is established once is going to last for very long, and therefore having mechanisms internally in the country to continue the process of training of workers for very long term. It's very important in this respect to have a local office which is able to communicate with the outside, but also communicate with the authorities inside the country and the different stakeholders to control this process of training and keep permanently an eye and update the different databases. So in short, it's a very important effort. It's a long-term effort, and it required a common effort. So every stakeholder should be properly engaged. So for that, it's very important for us as international partners or any international partners to have a local network of organizations and persons that are reliable and knowledgeable of the topic, or at least knowledgeable of the problems related to safety, security, and response to emergency. So I will stop here. I think it's 15 minutes. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you very much. I hope this information was valuable for you, and I'm looking forward to meet you in person in the future. Thank you very much again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am the President of National Institute of Maritime Affairs, Vice Admiral retired Ahmed Said, and we are indeed grateful for your time and enlightening us onto a subject, because you are the one who has had the actual experience of implementing the Sensrec in Bangladesh. So your process, your report, your guidelines which you have enumerated today, that will give us the guiding principles to formulate our own policy, and then inshallah we are looking forward to getting more interaction with you. One thing which I would like to ask you, which needs a little explanation, that once you had this process going on in Bangladesh, and you said they had the Maritime Academy as well, and you had identified the training institutions, but even then the process of 5 years took about 6 to 7 years to complete. But in our case, Pakistan, having been late on ratification, has about 1.5 years on its hand. So do you think it is a doable task, or it will be a starter, maybe putting us onto some lines during this process? I would like to know your comments, please.
Okay, sorry for that. It was, I needed to unmute, sorry. Thank you very much for your kind words. Making all this process in 1 or 2 years, I find it quite difficult. I mean, I have to be very frank and honest. I find it difficult. It depends from the efforts. Again, I mean, we had more time in Bangladesh, so it was, in this respect, we could do it step by step, and there were different phases of the project. And because one phase went after the other one and after the other one. And between phases, we also had some times we've not been engaged in the follow-up phase. So basically, if we have something which is following for 2 years the same trend, I think things can be achieved, because we also done quite a lot of work in Bangladesh, which can be helpful for you. So I still think it's very tight. I have to be very frank. It's very tight. I mean, less than 2 years, I think it's complicated, because we need time to assess the workers. We need time to assess the situation. We need time to identify the facilities. We need time to train the people. We need time to develop the material, to visit the yards, to talk to the yard owners, to talk to the different managers of the yard, to discuss with the workers. We need time to get this information. For us, it's very important to make sure that the elements we provide to you, or we provide to Pakistan, are made for Pakistan. They are not made for Turkey. You see my point. What is important for us is to ensure that it is meeting the reality of Pakistan. And this is one of the elements which is complicated, because it needs time. It's always very easy to say, okay, we take this material, it's going to work. It's not working like this. We need something which is adapted to your people, adapted to your country, and for that it requires time. But it requires also something which is very important, is a commitment of local partners. One of the elements we've seen in our work, at the beginning, I would say international partners were very engaged. We were doing a lot of the tasks, but over time, all the knowledge were transmitted to local partners. Because we had a very good relationship from the beginning. We knew some local partners already from a long time, because we have been working together, me with university and some relationship like that for a long time. So it made that it was very easy to identify the proper person immediately. And when you have this good person immediately identified and they are allocated time also to focus on this work, we can do quite a lot. So that will be one of the elements, is identifying the proper person at first and making sure this person are dedicated for the project full-time for this long period. And for us to transmit slowly by slowly, after 6 months, 1 year, each element to transmit. I don't know if I replied very much to your question. It's going to take time.
I think, Professor, I would say dot on, very, very accurate. And for all those who are here, they are all the stakeholders, and for them, it's, I think, eye-opener that what gigantic task we have in hand at the moment. So we look forward, we are taking the reference study like you took the Turkish and then adopted for the local national sensitivities. So we are taking the Bangladesh, the study which you had carried out, and we would be adopting it. That's what we are proposing, to adopt it for Pakistan. And that is where we are looking forward to your guidance also. Inshallah, we look forward that we will be interacting more with you in the times to come. But so very kind for giving us time, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's a great honor for me again. Thank you very much for your invitation.
So the house is open for Q&A session. Any question from our guest may be facilitated by our esteemed speakers. The house is open. Welcome, Madam Helen. Can you say something regarding our international symposium? And thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, madam.
Thank you. That's a very 2022 question, I know, but it's sometimes always nice to check that everything technical is actually working. I'm Noor Khan. I am the Deputy Head of Mission, currently the Chargé d'Affaires at the Norwegian Embassy in Islamabad. And I know it's been a long but very productive and informational day, so I'm going to keep my few words very short and sweet. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm deeply honored to address all of you today. Unfortunately, it's virtually, so next time I do hope I will be able to make the trip to Karachi, or you have to come over here to Islamabad where we can really boast about the beautiful weather. First and foremost, I would like to thank the National Institute of Maritime Affairs for organizing this seminar and providing us with the opportunity to delve into the challenges and opportunities within the ship recycling industry in Pakistan, particularly in light of the ongoing efforts being made in order to secure compliance with the Hong Kong International Convention for safe and environmentally sound recycling of ships. I also extend my appreciation to each and every one of you to present here today, who has dedicated their time in this vital discussion. Your presence underscores the importance of the collaborative effort this is. And it is important that it is the necessary changes to flourishing, productive, safe, and environmentally responsible industry. Over the past year, our embassy, the Norwegian Embassy, has had the privilege of engaging with many of you who are present here today. We are continuously seeking avenues to strengthen the cooperation between Norway and Pakistan, and we are really delighted to have identified this shared interest which enhances our bilateral relationship. So thank you, and hopefully next time we'll be able to spend time in the same room and be able to have conducive conversations together face to face. So I'll leave you at that, and thank you again for a very interesting and informative seminar. Thank you.
My appreciation to everybody who has continued to stick around and listen to this very, very important topic, which is of national importance. Honorable Chief Guest, Senator Nisar Ahmed Khodo sir, worthy speakers from all three sessions, Government of Balochistan, especially BDA, BIPA, and Labour Department, Pakistan Shipbreaking Association, National Trade Union Federation, Global Environment Management System, and Gadani Labour Union, flag, naval officers, students, and special thanks to Professor Dr. Rafael and the Deputy Head of Mission of Norway that they were present. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. We are indeed lucky today that we have a very seasoned politician with us today, Senator Nisar Ahmed Khodo sir. We are extremely grateful to you for giving us time today. And he has been one of the voices in our political arena. Whenever he speaks, everybody listens to him. That is the depth of knowledge, that is the sincerity with which he speaks. And sir, we are very grateful to you, the kind of voices you, the kind of people like you in our political arena. Now a little brief about how NIMA came into this process. In 2021, NIMA produced a flagship report on this subject, and it was circulated all around. And that is the time when I had just taken over. A report was produced prior to my arrival. And one day I received a call from the Norway embassy that the ambassador wants to see me. So ambassador was welcomed. He is His Excellency Par Albert. So he came along, and the first thing we said after sitting that we want to give business to Pakistan, but Pakistan doesn't want to take the business. That was a statement which actually struck me. And then I asked for the explanation, and he said that now the green ship design is going to be implemented by the IMO. Over 30,000 ships are plying at sea. By 2030, these ships, half of them will be scrapped, and half of them will be modified. So if you take it yearly, so it comes out to be something, I think, more than 1,500 per year. So where it will be scrapped, what are the countries which will be that this business they will take? That is, after crossing the Suez Canal, the first country is Pakistan. Second, it goes towards India and then to Bangladesh. So if Pakistan does not ratify the Hong Kong Convention, so business will stop. So that is the start point from where we actually started. I don't say that we were not working, other things were not being taken care, but ministries were working, but NIMA, how we started in this area. So then we asked them what we can do. They said, we will help you out. So let's start. So from that start point, then we prepared our presentation. We carried out study of the Sensrec of Bangladesh. We made a presentation to Norway embassy. Norway called a team from Norway to examine our report. Then they said, okay, you can come to Norway to present to our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But before coming there, you must go through your Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and somebody of ministerial level must accompany you so that he commits that we will ratify Hong Kong Convention. So then we made another presentation to MOFA. Secretary MOFA was very kind. A 30-minute presentation extended up to 2.5 hours, and their entire, I would say the relevant people were there. So immediately then they requested Madam Hina Rabani Khar to accompany us. So that's how then we went there, we made our point, it was accepted, and then we came back, and that's how this research started. So that's how the NIMA came into play. So we were given about 6 months to complete this report, of which about 4 months have lapsed, and another 2 months that report will be finalized, and that will be presented to the government and as well as to the IMO and other agencies. It will be a guideline for everybody, and even it will be I would say, it will be a textbook for the students, those who would like to see this. All the relevant legislations, practices, procedures, everything will be taken care of. So that is the relevance which I was talking about, that how NIMA came into play in this entire spectrum. As we heard Professor Rafael, that it is an inclusive process in which each and every stakeholder will have to be looked into, and they will have to be heard. So that is a process which started off. One of the purpose of today's sitting was that we should get together, everybody from A to Z, and listen to each other. So until unless we do not come to one consensus document, its start point will be a problem. Madam from ILO, which came just in the previous session, she was also indicating to this very thing, the one window operation, one unit responsible to implement that, it will not be possible. So anyway, we are going ahead, we will propose this, and we are looking forward, inshallah, that we will be able to complete that. But again, we have heard that a process which taken about 7 years by the Bangladesh, 7-8 years by the Indians. So for us, the time frame is left about 14 months, a gigantic task. ये बहुत बड़ा एक काम है जिसका आई थिंक कैसे होगा ये भी हम भी जैसे आगे चलेंगे फाइनलाइज करेंगे तो हमें इसका इदराक होगा, क्योंकि इसकी सर्टिफिकेशन जो है, इट्स सर्टिफिकेशन विल हैव टू बी डन बाय एन एक्सटर्नल थर्ड बॉडी विच विल बी अपॉइंटेड बाय द IMO जब तक इसको सर्टिफाई नहीं करेगा हमारे प्रोसेस को, तो हमारा ये प्रोसेस कंप्लीट नहीं होगा. इट इज़ डिफ़िकल्ट. Anyway, Hong Kong Convention के जो 3 basic strands which we have already talked about, that is to have environmental friendly procedures as per the Hong Kong Convention, to have an occupational health and safety standards as per the ILO, and to provide basic amenities to the related communities. ये उसके 3 basic strands हैं on which we will have to work, we have to modify, we have to train, and we have to go for capacity building. All the discussions which has taken place today, I am sure that has given us a lot of material which will form part of our study. And all those who could not be contacted, there are certain segments which we are listening to, they could not be contacted, but rest assured our Karachi segment will be coming back and making a personal contacts with everybody so that we also hear to them. जो भी उनकी गुजारिशात हैं उनको हम सुनेंगे और उसमें हम उसको induct करेंगे इंशाल्लाह. So my profound regards to everybody, and I am in person thankful to everybody, those who have come. Special thanks to the press, they have been around us, and they are our ears and eyes. The entire proceeding has also been live on the social media also. So we are thankful to the social media team also. And my team, those who have made it possible today, they have been working day and night to make this process successful. और जितने दोस्त हमारे इंटीरियर सिंध से आए हैं, बलूचिस्तान से आए हैं, उनका भी बहुत शुक्रिया. और हम चाहेंगे कि ये ताल्लुक़ कायम रहे और इसको आगे हम बढ़ाएं, और इसमें जो हमारे पास आपकी गुजारिशात हैं इंशाल्लाह हम उसको सुनेंगे और इस पे और बेहतर काम करेंगे. और आखिर में सर निसार खोड़ साहब, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया आज हमें ऑनर करने का. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Now I would like to request our honorable chief guest, Senator Nisar Ahmed Khodo sir, to present his valuable remarks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The honorable speakers from Government of Balochistan, Pakistan Shipbreakers Association, National Trade Union Federation, Global Environment Management System, and Gadani Labor Union, Madam Helen from the Norwegian Embassy, Senior Program Officer from UNILO, dignitaries, President NIMA, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Talking about ship industry, ship recycling. There were times, there were years where everybody used to talk about ship recycling. Pakistan was probably famous for its shipbreaking industry. I'm now been told that there was a time when around 400 ships used to come here for shipbreaking, ship recycling. Now we're only talking about 30, 40 a year. What a decline. From 1971 till 80, things were okay. But after that, this is how we talk about ourselves. We may have been signatories to sustainable goal or this Hong Kong Convention. We could be signatories, obviously. Pakistan is one of the luckiest country to be on the shores of a sea. There are other countries also in this world. We're talking about the SAARC countries, India and Bangladesh. The three countries does practice shipbreaking, ship recycling. It's supposed to be an industry which could benefit the government. And these conventions do have certain formats to act upon. I am told the conventions gave a target to Pakistan that by year 2025, you will do this or we will stop the shipbreaking industry. If that is so, sir, that we are losing an opportunity of improvement, our national economy, our problems of the country are well known to each of you. Any government is quite responsible to do that. If Balochistan Development Authority, working at a Planning and Development Department, has the administrative control on this Gadani thing, then what is stopping us from achieving the goals that we've been set for? When we are talking about collaboration, it has to be a collaboration. A joint effort will obviously be beneficial to all. So I would call upon the Balochistan Development Authority or the P&D Department of Balochistan to take it up with the federal government. That if there is anything lacking or if there is anything to be done, it should be done. P&D department to P&D department can easily approach each other. And I was wondering, when the stakeholders is also the federal government, I don't think I see any representation from the federal government today, here. So if they are not aware of it, then they should be made aware. Shipbreaking industry, recycling, it may be a backbone of the Balochistan province. Maybe as a whole, the country. Maybe as a whole, the country. But why are we lacking in these things? And why do we call our symposium capacity building? When we say it's a symposium on capacity building, means we are lacking. Like you said, you have plots, 340 something. Well, only 135 plots are developed. The rest are still looking towards the future of somebody paying any attention to that. Now, the development is in your hands. It is in the provincial government's hands. Since you are looked after by P&D, so P&D is provincial. I don't know what it is stopping us from all that. And why has the federal government forgotten all about it? So I would kindly urge you, like you said, sir, that it cannot be done in 1 year. But at least you can start something so that you can approach the international convention to give you a little bit more time. Today, Bangladesh happens to be the first one in ship recycling. Number one. Better than India. Why are we the last ones to be counted? This is alarming. All this is alarming. What do we have to do for this? Maybe some training programs. Maybe few things, physical development. Why don't the ships come here? When there was a time when 400 ships used to come. What is stopping them? What are the facilities that they need? And why can't we provide them? It's okay, it's a good thing that you all have come here. Balochistan and a few other stakeholders have come here to talk about it. When do we see the results? When do we claim that we took the grip and did what we had to do in such a short time? We keep hearing about these incidents. There certain deaths have occurred. Certain deaths have occurred. About 24 of workers. Maybe some were injured. Maybe they were not better monitored. Maybe so I can only say, I'm here in this kind of a symposium for the first time in my life, talking about ship cycling or recycling, but it is in a way a lucky part of this country to have sea by its shores. Karachi is supposed to be the gateway to Pakistan because it is sitting on the shore. So is Balochistan, Gwadar, and all these places that are being developed, maybe very slowly, but we do have this nature's gift to us that we chose to settle down by the shores of the waters. So, I don't want to take you too much time. I can only urge a bit more collaboration, bit more attention to this problem. Ship breaking or ship recycling generates interest, local businessmen also and international also. And Pakistan does need all these things to be done in such a speed that you feel fulfilled within yourself that we did it. Environment, there is a Department of Environment. I had a written speech. I could read from that. But what will I get from reading a speech? The federal government is not here. They don't listen to your outcries. I can only write to the Chairman Senate. I can only write to the P&D department that give some more attention to this very important sector in our economic development. That economic development Pakistan needs, and you have good enough voice. You have good enough voice. This maritime affairs, whatever, you have good enough voice to remind some people that this needs your attention. The international community will also keep talking about it, that you were there claiming to do things in less time, but you have not even started. The speaker from Sweden shared with you what he did for Bangladesh. He shared with you what you did for Bangladesh. Why can't some experts be hired, engaged, to do the same for Pakistan also? Why can't we do it? So there are so many questions. There will be so many questions by me. But anyway, I do congratulate the organizers of the symposium for at least having organized a symposium, at least having organized to call to our attention that this also needs somebody's attention. Well, I can only wish you success. I can wish you the goals be achieved in no time. Otherwise, मुझे तो बड़ा अच्छा लगा जब हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने कल परसों कह दिया कि जिन मुल्कों को हमने कांधों से उतारना अच्छा समझा, उनकी तरक्की देखकर हमें शर्मिंदगी हो रही है. This was a clear indicator, and this was a clear इशारा to Bangladesh. हमने उनको कांधों से उतारा, लेकिन उनकी तरक्की देखकर हमें शर्मिंदगी हो रही है. हमें शर्मिंदगी हो रही है, यानी हम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. तो ऐसे जुमले जब सुनते हैं तो दिल रो उठता है. हमें अपने मोहब्बत है मुल्क से. हम जान तक दे चुके हैं मुल्क की बचाव बचाव के लिए. ख्वाजे पाकिस्तान हो या आम शहरी हो, अपनी इंडिपेंडेंस को बहुत करीबी रखते हैं. All those lives which are given in the name of Pakistan must be acknowledged, rewarded for doing things कि जिससे हमारा मुल्क बेहतर हो सके. हम उनको रिवार्ड और कुछ नहीं दे सकते, चाहे वो जमहूरियत के लिए दी हुई कुर्बानियाँ हों, चाहे सरहदों को बचाने के लिए कुर्बानियाँ हों. अपने आप को जो मजबूत हमने किया या उनकी कुर्बानियाँ हों, सब ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो हमें कंपेल करती हैं कि थोड़ा सा और सीरियस हो जाए. इससे ज़्यादा मैं कहना नहीं चाहता. मैं आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ सर कि आपने मुझे बुलाया, आप लोगों से मिलवाया, कुछ मुझे भी सीखने का मौका मिला। वैसे भी कहते हैं कि ज़िंदगी भर सीखते रहना चाहिए। Cradle to grave, you learn. Let everybody learn. Thank you so much.
Honorable Chief Guest, I request you to remain on stage. I request President NIMA to please come up on stage and have a group photo with our concluding session speakers.
I would now request to have a group photo together. Please be on stage, all the speakers and NIMA organizers.